Hey love, so today we're going to do a foundation, highlight, contour, like how to contour a round face, because clearly I've got one of those. So we're just going to jump right in. I am going to do a cream and powder contour today. I normally only do a powder on an everyday basis, but just to be a little more thorough. So if you don't want to do cream contour, you can always fast forward through this video, but we're going to start with foundation and concealer and all that jazz. So I have moisturized and primed my face. I've just been using this a lot lately, so super affordable. It's just the Nivea Men's Post Shave Balm. Y'all know about this by now, it's all over YouTube. Yeah, we're gonna start with foundation. I think I'm gonna use the Naked Skin foundation. I have mine in 0.5, which is a little too dark, so I am gonna mix it with the Manic Panic Dream Tone. This is just used to mix with any foundation that is too dark for you. So yeah, and then I just mix it on my hand. And you can just see it lightens it up like a shade or two, which is what I need. It's gonna dot it all over my face. I think I'm just gonna go with the original Beauty Blender today. I'm just going to blend that in. And you don't have to use a sponge, you can use a brush if you want. Honestly, most days I just use a brush because it's faster for me. Alright, so that just creates a really thin layer. I feel like anytime I use a beauty blender to apply a foundation, it gets lighter coverage than a brush. So I do feel like this is a light coverage right now. We're gonna move on to concealer. I actually have been using this foundation as a concealer. It's the Marc Jacobs Remarkable Foundation. Mine is in shade 10 Ivory Light. Coverage on this is insane. I usually do like a full coverage foundation. This one is a little too heavy for my personal taste, but I love it as a concealer. I don't have a lot of problem areas, but if you do have problem areas, check this out. This is the most pigmented, insane, crazy thing I've ever tried, ever. It's amazing. So what I just do is I either put it on my hand and then tap it on, but sometimes I just do this. Like a dot under each eye, a dot on my nose, like the tiniest bit, and like a dot on my chin. So I'm just gonna tap that out a little bit. So I'm gonna take this guy. Okay, I am going to set my under eyes and just my under eyes, just right under my eye, on my under eye. If you are not as fair as I am, please disregard this powder, but if you are super fair like I am, you will love this. It definitely gives you a highlight under your eye, which is really difficult to achieve when you are already this fair. I just mixed them together because I don't want too stark white of an under eye, so this is the Stargazer pressed powder in white. I got it off Amazon for like $5. And then I mix it with the translucent powder from Physicians Formula. This is like my holy grail, my favorite under eye setting powder. It's just a face powder, but I like it as an under eye setting powder because it's so finely milled and the color's really good. Almost always use my tapered kabuki F86 from Sigma. Tap it in that one and then just tap it in the white one. Just right on my under eyes. I don't want to go too far down. We are going to do the cream contour part of this video. This is just the Makeup Revolution Ultra Cream Contour Kit. I'm just going to use that shade. I like to use the most cool toned, especially if you are as fair as I am. The cooler it is, usually the more it works out, because the more cool toned it is, the more it's going to mimic an actual shadow. Some skin tones need a warmer color for it to look more natural, but I definitely try and use the coolest toned shade that I can find. So we're gonna go into that guy. I'm just gonna use a paddle brush. This one is from Vasanti and it says foundation 3. Like the lesson of contouring is always like from the tip of your ear to like you can feel your cheekbone. Since I have a rounder face and I actually have pretty large cheekbones, and I mean some people want to have super large cheekbones, I like to just kind of shape my face in a little more. So I do raise where I put the contour. Instead of it would be right here, I usually put it right here, just like a ½ an inch above. That's just my personal preference, but I do feel like it helps kind of slim the face in a little bit. Right there is where my cheekbone is. I'm gonna go above it. So again, that's where it probably would be, and I'm that far above it. And I just take it to about the corner of my eye. I don't really go all the way in. You can go further in if you would like, but that's just gonna make my cheeks look rounder if I go all the way in, especially being up a little higher. So I'm going to blend that really quick and then I will move on to my jawline. So you can use a beauty sponge, or a lot of the time I just go in with whatever I applied it with and just kind of buff that upward. You want to buff upward and not lower, because that's just going to drag the contour down. Unless you don't like how high it is, then you go for it. So I'm going to buff it out a little bit, then blend it with the beauty sponge. And it's gonna look crazy right now, but it'll work out. Okay, so there's that. Now we're gonna move on to our jawline. I feel like this is very basic knowledge now, but I'm just gonna go over a couple things anyway, just in case you are a beginner and you're watching this and you've never contoured your face before or watched a lot of videos on contouring. So the difference between contouring and highlighting, contouring is making things recede, so it's going to like sculpt. That's why it's called sculpting. Sculpt your cheekbone and make it recede in, and then highlighting is going to make things pop out. So it's going to bring, that's why it's such a crazy thing, because you can make your face look a lot different. Like you can change so many things if you want to, but just contouring and highlighting by making things go in and making things pop out. So I've got this very clearly. There is that chin there. I want to have a more defined jawline. If you can bring it all the way under if you want. I normally just kind of sculpt it right there. Try my best to keep it down here. And you can, if you have like, I got like the gobbler, so I'm just going to kind of buff that. I haven't added any additional product besides like a tiny dab there and a tiny dab for this side. And I'm just going to buff that with this brush. You can use a blender brush, you can just use the beauty sponge. I just feel like I keep more color with when I blend with whatever brush I'm using, and then blend it out, just make sure it's a little more seamless with the sponge. So I am going to bring it all the way back to my ear as well. So now I'm just going to blend it a little bit. Very slightly contour my nose. Getting distracted. I have this little bump and it's hard to not exaggerate that, and you know what, kind of like whatever, it's my nose. So I'm just going to just a tiny bit and blend it out. Right now we're going to move on to powders. I had a ton of requests to use this guy in one of my last videos, so I'm going to try it out because I haven't actually put this on my face yet. This is the new Makeup Revolution Iconic Lights and Contour Pro. Everyone's saying that it does look a lot like the NYX one. Haven't held them up next to each other until now, but just so you guys can have a sneak peek, because I probably will film a video about this. Yeah. We'll swatch that later and I'll do a whole video on it, but you guys are right. From what I can tell, yes. And this is just the Pro C FP01 contour brush. So I'm going to use this shade right here, the lighter cool toned one. Just tap my brush down in there. Put this on top where we put that cream. And this is just kind of going to help set that and keep your contour in place, and obviously intensify it a little bit. I feel like you'll get a more intense contour if you just go straight in. So I'm just going to tap that on there and blend upwards. If you feel like you have your face is really round right here, I usually have my hair down or hair covering that area, so I don't worry too much about it. But if my hair was up or I was going to have my hair back or something, I would kind of focus on this area too. You can go in with the cream and the powder if you want right here. I'm just going to do a little bit with the powder. Again, just going on the same exact areas that we went before. You're just going to pretty much line your jaw and then blend it down. So on your cheekbones, you're going to put the line down and blend up. On your jawline, you're going to put the line right there, like right on your jawline, and blend down. And if you want to stop at the cream contour and not do the powder contour, that's totally cool. Once you blend it all out and you set it, it's going to look a lot more natural, I personally think, than the powders. But I'm not really about all being natural. This is a little, what are you, duo fiber contour brush from Real Techniques, and I'm just going to kind of blend it. A trick I like to personally do is I'll mix the contour shade with whatever the light powder is in there, because normally whatever highlight shade is in one of these palettes is really close to my actual skin tone, or you can just mix it with your face powder too. So I kind of mix those when I blend it out, just to kind of blur the edges, and that kind of mid-tone shade between the two is really going to help you blend it out. It's going to obviously blur it out, and it's going to be larger than you really think that you want it to be. Once you put your blush on and your highlight, it'll all kind of blend together. So If you feel like you've gone too low, you can do the baking trick where you take a loose powder and just set it on there and let it sit for a minute and then brush it away, and that'll help bring that line up. We're gonna do some blush, and I'm going to reach into this beautiful little thing. I'm so excited. Those of you that know me and watch my channel know that I love her, love Miss Jaclyn Hill. I wish she would be my BFF. I wanna mix a little of the brighter pink one with the rosé spritz. See, that is super pigmented. Becca blushes are always super crazy pigmented. Like, I barely tap my brush in there. And honestly, a lot of days I don't even wear blush. I just go straight from the contour to highlight. I also have this new little BB, Jeffree Star Skin Frost, in mine is an ice cold. So I'm going to mix this with Champagne Pop just because I know on my skin tone that Champagne Pop is too dark for me, and Prosecco Pop I know is going to be too dark for me. I might just mix all three, but this pale shade will help lighten it up. And I'm just too antsy to use this guy too, so we're going to mix a little bit of all of them. My favorite brush to highlight is actually a blush brush. This one is from Visanti, I believe is what, I got it in a beauty box, and it is their Blush 7 brush. It's just a little denser, a little more, it's going to pack the color on, so if you don't want an intense highlight, you might want to just use a fan brush or something smaller, but you all know all about that glow. So I'm going to, I think I'm going to lay down these two first, just mix those two right on the top of the cheekbone. But see how, you can see how dark that is. It barely, I mean, it gives me a glow, but it's a golden, it looks like I have gold on my face. It's really sad, but it's okay because we'll lighten it up. I'm only going to put those on my cheeks. I'm going to use the lighter highlight on the center of my face. Now we are going to go into Ice Cold. I almost called it Ice Frost. Skin Frost and Ice Cold. And just place that right on top. That's just going to create like a super white gold. Again, you don't have to use this many products either. You can just, whatever your go-to highlight is, you go. You do it. But I do have a video on my favorite highlights for fair skin if you are fair skinned and you just want a one-step highlight. See now, dang, all about, look at that. Oh my goodness. I like the tip of the nose highlight. I have a little round tip to my nose, so I like it. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. I know people are kind of over it, but I like looking like Rudolph. I don't know. I like looking like a deer or a doll is what that's what I aim for in life. I want to look like either a deer or a doll for some reason. Doe eyes, all about that life. So a little bit on my chin. And by a little bit, I mean probably a lot. That is a lot of glow. So you do you if you don't want this much glow. I'm gonna go in a little bit with my blush brush and just kind of, just so that it looks slightly more blended, but I'm not afraid to look like I got a bunch of highlight on my face, clearly. And you can see how like that just makes it totally changes the shape of your face. It just like pops it out. It's gonna be the longest video ever because I feel the need to explain everything. And again, right now you can go back and blend it out with more face powder if you want, but that is my entire and extended version of my highlight contour routine for a round face. I'm going to go ahead and put on the rest of my makeup and I'll come back so you can see what the finished look looks like, because if you were going for a natural day, you probably don't want all this, but once all the other makeup is on, it'll make much more sense. So we're going to go in that and I will be back. All right, love, so this is what the makeup looks like all together with all the rest of the makeup on. So you can see it doesn't look quite as intense. Obviously, it's a little more balanced out because the eyes actually have makeup on them. And I feel like when I have bigger hair, I feel much more balanced. I feel like it feels like a lot because I normally don't contour as heavily as I did in this video for you guys to see, just to kind of give a demonstration, but you can definitely see the difference it made in the shape of my face. At least I feel like I see the difference. Yeah, so if you guys liked this more in-depth talk through tutorial about how to contour and highlight and how I contour and highlight my round face, just let me know down below and give this video a thumbs up and I will try and do more of those for you, and let me know which ones you want to see next. I was thinking about doing a tutorial on how to make your eyes look bigger too, because I do love doing that. So yeah, any kind of talk through in-depth tutorial that you guys want to see, let me know down below, or whatever you want to see. As always, I want all of your ideas. And I think that's everything. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and share it if you could, because it does help me out so much. And I will talk to you soon. Bye. So I'm gonna mix those. Do a little dance. You know, the usual. Hello, Widow's Peak. Add a little bit, which I'm sure is common knowledge. What? I'm sure is common knowledge that when, that sounded really sassy. Start again. In my talk throughs, trying to film a tutorial talk through. This is the new Makeup Revolution. Makeup Revolution. But I have to say okay after every step. I don't know why. Yeah. It's the dupe. Oh, the highlight on my face. So huge. That's what she said. She said that. She said that. That's what she said.